is brought to you by Head Start Basketball.
It's a wild ride with COVID. I was going to agree to go to New Zealand to play, but COVID kind of shut that one down. So it took me 18 months to get my first playing opportunity with the San Antonio Spurs in Summer League. Just kind of trying to stay ready physically and mentally, but it was a long road to get that first opportunity.
Eric Demers is a professional basketball player currently playing in Spain. He also spent 2 seasons with the Maine Red Claws in the NBA G League. Demers played his college basketball at D3 Gordon College, where he scored over 2,500 points and averaged 32.4 points per game as a senior. He's also a member of the We Are D3 TBT team. Hey, Hoopheads, find the shooting machine that meets your team's exact training needs this New Year's with Dr. Dish Basketball's 2025 Super Sale. Shop now until January 31st to unlock their biggest offer ever. Buy one Dr. Dish, get one free. Learn more at drdishbasketball.com and follow their incredible content at Dr. Dish B-Ball on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Mention the Hoopheads podcast and save an extra $300 on the Dr. Dish Rebel, All-Star, and CT models. Those are some great deals, Hoopheads. Get your Dr. Dish shooting machine today.
Hi, this is Shiva Senthil, head men's basketball coach at Oberlin College, and you are listening to the Hoopheads podcast.
Prepare like the pros with the all-new Fast Draw and Fast Scout. Fast Draw has been the #1 play diagramming software for coaches for years. You'll quickly see why Fast Model Sports has the most compelling and intuitive basketball software out there. For a limited time, Fast Model is offering Hoopheads listeners 15% off Fast Draw and Fast Scout. Just use the code HHP15 at checkout to grab your discount, and you'll be on your way to more efficient game prep and improved communication with your team. Fast Model also has new coaching content every week on its blog, plus play and drill diagrams on its Playbank. Check out the links in the show notes for more. Fast Model Sports is the best in basketball. Get ready to take some notes as you listen to this episode with Eric Demers, professional basketball player. Hello and welcome to the Hoopheads podcast. It's Mike Klinzing here this morning without my co-host Jason Sunkel, but I am pleased to be joined by professional basketball player Eric Demers. Eric, welcome to the Hoopheads pod.
I appreciate the opportunity to chat it up with you. Thanks for having me.
Excited, man. Looking forward to diving into your career, all the things that you've been able to do. Let's start by going back in time to when you were a kid. Tell me how you get into the game, what makes you fall in love with it.
Yeah, I think just like any kid, I feel like you kind of gravitate towards what family interests are. And my uncle played college basketball, and my dad coached some high school basketball for the time being. So I feel like just being kind of born into a family that was basketball is kind of the main sport made me just naturally gravitate towards it.
Did you have gym access through your dad when you were a kid or no?
Yeah, kind of through my whole family. My whole family works in like the school system. So my dad was my high school principal. My aunt is a superintendent in town. So just kind of always was knocking on doors, whether it be my father's or other family members that were teachers. So always kind of found my way into the gym.
Nice. You always had the keys. That's a good way to go about things when you're young.
Absolutely.
Did you play anything else besides hoops?
I feel like soccer is a common sport that kids play growing up. Played a little bit of soccer and then baseball. And then once I got to high school, I actually played golf. Went to high school in Cape Cod, so I got the privilege to play some pretty nice places for free. And then it was only a Monday through Friday type of sport, so I was able to play AU and stuff on the weekends. So that was kind of my 2 high school sports right there.
Are you still golfing now that you're playing professionally?
Yeah, I married into a golfing family.
Okay.
My brother-in-law played golf at UNC. My father-in-law plays golf, so kind of lucked out there. So I usually play about 10 to 15 rounds a year when I'm not overseas.
Nice. What's the best course you've played?
Probably the Ocean Course down in Kiowa Island where they put the PGA Championship.
Nice. What'd you shoot on that one?
I shot 78 that day. There was no wind, so a part of me was I lucked out weather-wise because I hear it's pretty windy out there, but it was also a good day for myself as well.
All right. Well, if you're putting up a 78 on that course, I'm not gonna challenge you. I I haven't played much golf, but man, I used to play for like $1 a hole with a college buddy, and we'd be lucky to crack 78 on 9. So you're definitely out of my you're definitely out of my league, man, without question. All right, so as you're starting to take the game more seriously, you're getting into high school. What's your workout routine look like? How are you improving? How are you trying to get yourself better as a player? What's the balance between working out with maybe a trainer or a partner, working by yourself, playing competitive pickup games? Just what were you doing to try to get better?
Yeah, I just was someone who just loved being in the gym. I was kind of the definition of a gym rat. Whether that be being at the community center in middle school, early high school, just waiting for some guys to tire out where they finally needed an extra body to play with the high school guys or the college guys that are in town or whatnot. But I feel like for the training, like, stuff was very new to the scene, I feel like, when I was in high school. So a lot of it was just love of the game, finding ways to get in the gym, whether it be having friends rebound for me, family rebound for me, but just kind of being creative with myself, as well as just being the competitor, just trying to find ways to play pickup 2-on-2, 3-on-3, any chance I could. And then once I started getting into college, just being a little bit more thoughtful of how I worked out, finding a trainer that I agreed with their philosophy. They were working me out in a way that was translated to my game and my team system, not just putting me through the same workout they'd give somebody else. So just kind of finding my own path through the love of it, and then that kind of carried towards like being more particular with how I train.
What did your AAU experience look like?
It was kind of a roller coaster. I played for an EYBL team starting in 6th grade, like program. We weren't on the EYBL circuit that early, but like a bigger time program in Boston in 6th through 8th grade. And then they all went completely in a different direction. So I played smaller level, like AAU, bunch of, I think there's, out of the 12 of us, I think 9 of us played Division III basketball. 1 played Ivy League and the other didn't play college basketball. So a lot of like similar minded guys that just kind of played basketball the right way. And we kind of were able to showcase that on the AAU circuit up the East Coast.
Would you say, when you think about your recruitment and your desire to play college basketball, would you say that your AAU experience or your high school experience, because I think you're probably right on the cusp of where college coaches really started to evaluate more and figure out who they would try to recruit on the AAU scene versus the high school scene. But I'm just curious what your experience was in terms of your recruitment and what that looked like, AAU versus high school.
Yeah, it was definitely, I feel like nowadays it's definitely the AAU scene. And then once you start building relationships with college coaches, then they'll take the time to come see you in your high school season. My recruitment was definitely under recruitment, in my opinion. I was definitely a late bloomer in general. I feel like my best basketball is just knocking on the door, but a lot of local like D3 schools in the New England area, where there's a ton of them, came knocking briefly, and then I feel like they stopped calling by the time my senior year came around. So once my senior season hit, I was only being recruited by Gordon College, where I ended up going, and then Springfield College, and kind of the rest kind of fell off. So it was definitely under-recruited in my opinion, but I mean, clearly it's worked out for me.
So what do you attribute that to? I'm just curious. Is it just the fact that you're a 6'1" white kid that, just didn't attract attention? You're not doing anything flashy, or what do you attribute it to? Just where you were at location-wise? I'm just curious.
I think it's kind of a mix of things. I went to school in Cape Cod, so not a huge basketball scene. I tried to play AAU closer to the like Boston area, which I did. But a lot of schools, like whether it be, there's a lot of like Division II schools and higher up Division III schools that were like reaching out to my AAU coach, like, hey, is he 6'4"? And it's like, no, he's 6'2" in shoes, but like, and it's kind of created my own way of how I view the game of basketball. Of like, it's very easy to say I want X, Y, and Z, but at the end of the day, it's what produces on the court is going to help you win. I always laugh now that I'm a professional, where I see things online. It's like they'll give a description of what they're looking for, and it's LeBron James, but they're they got an internship level salary to offer you. And it's like, you can't check all those boxes, but it's at the end of the day, it's like, you need to look at what's on the court. And like the eye test is something I feel like I pass because I'm able to produce on the court, even though maybe I'm a couple inches shorter than what they were looking for at the time.
What's your favorite memory from playing high school basketball?
Just I feel like youth basketball in general, whether that be high school, college, is just kind of like the true friendships and brotherhood of what it is to be a team. Um, Going into the professional rankings where it's your job, you really feel more of a job, and the age gap is a lot bigger in professional basketball, and people are in different places in life and from different areas and upbringings. So I feel like just the true like camaraderie of being a part of a team growing up there's nothing like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that those lifelong relationships that you build with teammates, without question, it's one of the best parts of the game, no doubt. And then I'm sure, as you said, from the professional side of it, it's a little bit different when you're moving from one contract to the next. And as you said, there's young guys who are 23, and then there's guys who are 35 and married with a whole family. So it's definitely a different sort of relationship when you start talking about professional teammates. Tell me a little bit about the recruitment to Gordon, your decision to go there. Obviously, as you said, you didn't have a ton of choices at the time, but why Gordon? And then we'll talk a little bit about what you felt like was the adjustment or how you transitioned to college.
Yeah, Gordon was definitely the school that recruited me the most. To be honest, I kind of put them on the back burner as like, all right, the Gordon will always be there, but like I wanted to maybe do go to a post-grad year in prep school. I was really chasing a scholarship or something like that. And then, so they came to probably about 10 of my 20 high school games, which is a lot when you think about they're in their own season of their own schedule and things like that. But they truly made the effort to be there, as well as they would sit with my family at the games. They wouldn't kind of do their own thing like other college coaches. They were building genuine relationships. And then the Springfield college coach at the time never came to see me play. It was only his assistant, and turns out he wasn't there the following year. So it was like I was being recruited by someone who wasn't going to be there with me. So, and then Gordon just being a local school in Boston, it was close to home. A small Christian private school was like a cherry on top benefit to me. And then just the opportunity to play right away. I'm someone who values playing. Whether that, I know some people would rather go to a big school and never play, but for me, I just wanted the opportunity to play and reach my potential and have the opportunity to be on the court.
So when you get there, what's the adjustment like academically, socially, basketball wise? Did you feel like you stepped right on the court right away and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to play at this level?
I would never tell you I wasn't ready to play at the college level, but Gordon brought in 10 freshmen that year, so it was total rebuild, and we started 3 of them, and I was one of them. So I started every game as a freshman, which was awesome, but statistically, I definitely showed I wasn't as efficient as I thought as a player. I think I was maybe thrown into a role that was a little bit bigger than I was ready for, but just the opportunity to compete at that level from day one, it helped grow me to become the player I am today.
So how long did you feel you were into your career where you had a handle on, hey, I'm playing the way that I want to play, the way I'm capable of playing? Obviously, you're always striving to get better and you're never a finished product, but when do you feel like you had a handle on, hey, in the college game, this is kind of where I'm at?
Yeah, I was all conference my freshman year. I averaged about 12 a game. I feel like I had a successful freshman campaign, and then the following year I came back and broke my hand in preseason, then came back and played 5 games and broke my foot. So took a redshirt year that year, and I think that's kind of the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I was kind of able to kind of reset in all aspects of life, and especially basketball, and just having that extra year of eligibility where I was able to come back for that second sophomore year, my redshirt year, fully healthy, and I made a jump from 12 points a game to 22 points a game. That's where I kind of felt like that third year of college, second year of playing, but that was where I was like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at right now. And I feel really confident in what I can do.
When you look at the way that the transfer portal has now influenced college basketball, a guy like you who had such a tremendous career and put up big numbers in Division III, there'd probably be, if you were in the game today, there would probably be coaches from higher levels knocking on your door. I don't know if there was anybody knocking on your door a few years ago when you were in that position, but when you look at it today, how would you approach maybe the opportunity to play at a high level? Was that a higher level? Was that something that was important to you? Was it more important to be with your teammates and the coaching staff that recruited you? Just if you had a chance to look at it, have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I always dreamed about playing at the highest level, whether that be college, NBA. I had an opportunity. Boston College reached out to me after that second year. I was actually playing well for like a preferred walk-on position. But at the end of the day, it's like, am I going to pay a full tuition at an ACC school, which is pricey, or to sit on the bench, or am I going to continue to be able to play? And I met my wife already at that time, and we were dating, and I was just very comfortable where I am. And I think my story is very unique. There's not a lot like it, but I do think the opportunity to lead the country in scoring at Division III and be in Sports Illustrated and different platforms following me at the level I was at, I feel like opened more doors than me being maybe a role player averaging 7 to 10 points at a mid-major type of school.
Yeah, for sure. No, it makes sense. I was just curious as to what your mindset was, because I think that's something that no matter what level you're playing at, there's always a part of you in the back of your mind that wonders, hey, could you play and get an opportunity at a higher level? And obviously with what you've gone on to do professionally, it's clear that you could have carved yourself out a pretty good role at a school just about anywhere. What were you thinking about academically and as far as career? Because obviously we all have the dream of at some point playing professionally or playing in the NBA, but what are you thinking about academically or for your career wise if the playing doesn't work out while you're in school?
Yeah, I was trying to do anything I could to make basketball connections. I remember after my junior year of college, I met guys like Joe Mazzulla, who was an assistant coach for the Celtics at the time, getting his phone number, texting him when I was at Gordon, like, hey, man, is there any internship opportunities? Blah, blah. I just want to get my foot in the door, like, whether it be rebounding, things like that. And then kind of fast forward like 3 years later, and I'm playing for the organization, which is kind of crazy. But I always loved basketball. I always thought I'd work in basketball in some capacity. So I got my degree in sports management as well as business administration. So I was definitely knocking on doors with the networking piece, with knowing I had the desire to play professionally at some capacity. Early on in my college career, I thought it was going to be maybe I go overseas for a year or two and get my master's paid for and just do it for the travel experience. And then kind of as my game grew, my kind of view of my career kind of shifted a little bit with that.
So when you do graduate, what's the process for trying to get an opportunity to play professionally? Are you interviewing agents? Who are you talking to? Who's giving you advice? What steps do you take in order to realize that dream of finding a place to play professionally?
Yeah, I think at any level you try to play professionally, it's a bit overwhelming, whether you're a high major guy and you got all the top agents recruiting you and trying to just interview and shuffle through that and see what's best for you. And then a guy like me at Division III, I'm sitting in my assistant coach's office and we're on a WhatsApp call with 3-4 different agents from all these different countries speaking broken English. And it's like, I don't know who to trust. I don't know where to like the best way to get my foot in the door. But I was working with an NBA trainer out in LA, Jordan Lawley, who works with some NBA guys. And he actually introduced me to his agent that he was playing with at the time. I'm not with him at this point, but he kind of gave me my first shot to represent me. And then unfortunately, as a wild ride with COVID, I was going to agree to go to New Zealand to play, but COVID kind of shut that one down. So it took me 18 months to get my first playing opportunity with the San Antonio Spurs in Summer League. Just a lot of like knocking on doors, and then things would kind of fall through due to COVID and lack of opportunities, whether it be the G League bubble, only half the teams went, so only half the job opportunities and not a lot of rookie chances there. So just kind of trying to stay ready physically and mentally, but it was a long road to kind of get that first opportunity.
Yeah, how difficult was that 18 months when things are shut down? Obviously, you're not just rolling into the gym and being able to play pickup games. So how are you working on your game during that 18-month time when you don't have a team to play for? And I'm sure it was hard to find. Again, you can be in the gym a lot by yourself, but to be able to find a competitive outlet, how difficult was that?
For sure. It was a roller coaster of like balancing mental and emotional emotions like throughout the process. You know, I was married at the time and found out probably halfway through that 18 months that my wife was pregnant, that we were expecting a child, and she's teaching. I'm working maybe 10 hours a week because my mindset is if I'm going to be a professional basketball player, I got to start acting like it. I can't work a 40-hour work week and then try to play basketball 2 hours a week compared to these professionals that do it full time. So just trying to balance of like, all right, I need to provide for a family, but I still want to chase this dream at the same time. And then kind of really got lucky through COVID in between the NBA bubble and the restart in December. My barber actually invited me to play pickup with the Celtics, the few of them that were in town. They had about 7 or 8 guys in town. They were looking for a few guys to fill out a pickup run, and got invited through actually the guy who cuts my hair, which is a little crazy, but went to that and played really well. And then Jaylen Brown actually asked me if I wanted to work out with him the next day. So had the opportunity to work out with Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, probably 7 or 8 times over the next few weeks before they started up their season again. So lucked out with relationships throughout the process, but just any way I could find a way to be in a competitive setting was super important throughout that process.
And then that eventually leads to you getting to sign on with the Celtics G League team. What's that process like?
Yeah, it actually started with the whole TBT experience with Coach Reg giving me an opportunity. The whole TBT experience for me is super unique, and I'm not sure it can be replicated due to the scheduling of it, but because of the whole NBA season being off track, TBT was before NBA Summer League that year. So I was able to go to TBT, and I had a really good game, had 25 points on ESPN, lost a close one, but that next day about 8 teams, NBA teams were calling my agent about whether it be Summer League opportunities or G League opportunities for that year. So it was really TBT kind of steamrolled my career into NBA Summer League and then going into that G League season.
Coaches, Game Changer is making your game film more valuable than ever. New this season to Game Changer, Film Room allows team staff to analyze full game videos, add comments to specific moments, and quickly share feedback with other coaches, team members, or families. The #1 youth sports app automatically skips downtime in the game film, condensing event video into active play so you can focus on the moments that matter. The best part? It's completely free for coaches. Download Game Changer now on iOS or Android and take your coaching to the next level with Film Room on Game Changer. Game Changer. Stream, score, connect. All right, well, tell me about how you get connected to Coach Reg and the TBT and how that worked in terms of him putting together the roster and reaching out to you. And was that something that you're like, immediately, I'm jumping at the chance to do that? Or was that more of a case of him trying to convince you? What's the process look like?
No, I think it was all along was me trying to convince Reg to give me a chance. I know you were able to get to know Reg a little bit when he was on your show, but his big rule is like he wants current pros representing his team, and at the time I wasn't. As much as I called myself a pro, I've never got a job, and I was kind of still at home because of COVID, but I think my basketball resume, Reg was willing to take a chance on me, and it kind of worked out for both of us. I think I helped him in his program a little bit, and he definitely helped me in my name and my brand. So huge shout out to Reg for that one.
So what is the camaraderie like on that TBT team with all of you guys that have D3 in your background? And obviously the teams that you're playing against are filled with high major guys and former pros and all this stuff. And so I'm guessing that collectively there's a little chip on the shoulder in terms of, we all know that Division III, that there's, again, you can go to any AAU tournament and the number of people that unfortunately talk down or, want to have that D1 or bust mentality. What's the chip on the shoulder like? What are you guys talking about as a group? Is that something that you guys use as fuel, or is it something you just ignore because you've heard it for so long?
No, I think it's a great opportunity for guys of similar backgrounds to get together and just enjoy basketball. I think Division III is such a pure form of basketball where you're not getting paid by NIL, you're not on scholarships, you don't have to be there. Like, these guys that play Division III basketball truly want to be there. And then to kind of create an all-star team of Division III guys, it's just, for me, I look at any opportunity as like a networking opportunity where we had 12 guys able to get together of all different basketball backgrounds, whether that be college experience. Some guys went and won national championships, or someone has played in this country and that country, and just being able to pick brains and ask questions of, hey, what was your experience like in Spain, or what was your experience like in Israel? And just kind of network and kind of learn about the process of becoming a professional basketball player from kind of the ground up from Division III basketball.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to be able to have those experiences with guys that have been in different places and can share their advice with you. I'm sure that was invaluable to you as you've been moving forward in your career. So explain how the TBT experience, how does that lead to the Celtics? You said you had a bunch of teams reach out to you. How do you end up making the decision about where to go?
Yeah, so when I ended up going to the Spurs, thought there was an opportunity for me to play there, but due to the COVID stuff, like, everything was back like in the wrong order. So I agreed to play summer league with the Spurs before the draft. They took 2 guards in the draft, so those guys definitely played a lot more than I did in summer league, but had a great opportunity with them, and then came home at the end of August and kind of didn't know what was next. Because I played summer league, the rules of the G League stuff is I couldn't just sign a G League contract. I'd either have to sign an NBA training camp deal or go through the G League draft process. So had to go through the G League draft, throw my name in the hat, and then the Celtics called my agent the day of the draft and said, hey, we'll do Eric a favor as a hometown kid and we'll give him an opportunity, but we're most likely going to cut him at the end of training camp. And then my agent didn't tell me that part. He just told me the Celtics were going to draft me. So I was pumped to be home. I had a newborn son and my wife, and we lived in the Boston area, so it was a very easy transition. And then kind of got to training camp and didn't realize the Celtics were trying to sign a super team in the G League, and 10 out of the probably 15 players in training camp were all NBA contract guys, former NBA players. So, and they were only keeping 12, and just kind of put my head down and started working, and then had the opportunity. Every G League team does it at the end of training camp, whether they go to the NBA facility or the NBA staff comes and watches you scrimmage. And we played one half of basketball, 2 12-minute quarters in front of Brad Stevens and his staff, and I had 23 and 5 in those 24 minutes of basketball. So that kind of helped me solidify my job that day, and I kind of never looked back, just kind of kept running with it.
So here's a question that I've talked to different people from the NBA, and what's always interesting to me is they'll talk about guys that are on the roster. Obviously, when you look around the NBA, there are not that many guys at any level of basketball, I don't care where you are, that you just kind of get the ball and get to go do your thing, which obviously at Gordon, you got the ball and you got to go do your thing. And now as you step into the professional ranks, you more have to fit into, okay, what's my role? How do I figure out how I can make a roster, or how can I help my team? And it's probably not going to be in the role of, okay, Eric, we're just giving you the ball and you go do everything, create everything, and take as many shots as you want. So how do you have to adjust your mindset in terms of, okay, how do I figure out what my role is? How do I work on the skills that are actually going to give me an opportunity to play at the pro level, whether that be in the G League, the NBA, overseas? How do you approach that part of the game?
Yeah, I'm someone who's still learning it. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I think the way I play, I don't think I'm the greatest Division III basketball player ever, or most skilled Division III basketball player ever. But I do think that my skill set of shooting really translates to a lot of job opportunities. It translates to a lot of different brands of basketball, in the G League and the NBA being one of them. So when I got to the G League, it was just definitely like, it became like, all right, I come from college shooting 20 times a game to maybe I'll get 3 shots this game. So just trying to learn and understand, and just, it was a roller coaster of playing around with pregame preparation. How am I going to get my mind right, my body right, to never knowing when my name's going to get called, but when it does get called, how am I going to perform at the highest level? And I think it didn't really click for me until my second year in the G League, where I'd start 4 games and then I wouldn't play for 3 games, and then I don't go until the second quarter or the fourth quarter. But to be able to go in there, and no matter what the coach says, whatever the game situation may be, that I'm going to be the best version of myself. In that second year in the G League, I shot about 54% from the 3-point line, and just kind of wearing a bunch of different hats, whether that be a starter, a role player, just being a cheerleader at times. And now I'm back to trying to find my way to get out of that shell of, all right, I'm only going to take really good shots. And now it's like, all right, I'm one of 2 Americans on a roster here in Spain, and I'm called upon to be one of the lead offensive players. So how can I get back to what I call like my Gordon mentality of being a little bit more aggressive, maybe a little less efficient, but I kind of is stuck in my ways of, all right, I'm only hunting good shots here. It's kind of made my way as a professional to be like, all right, I need to be a little more aggressive at times. So it's something I'm still learning, but I do think it's a very important piece to kind of be able to get into multiple roles, because it's only going to open more opportunity for you to play one and get more jobs.
For sure. All right, so tell me about the decision before this season to leave the G League, leave the U.S., go overseas, sign a contract with the team in Spain that you're playing for. What does that decision-making process look like for you? Obviously, you've got a family now that you have to think about, and obviously you're talking that over with your wife. So just kind of take us behind the scenes of what that conversation was like between you and your wife, and making the decision to leave the U.S., leave the G League, and go over and go to Spain.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of scratching the itch. I had opportunities to return to the G League on more NBA training camp deals. Like I signed my second year, and then just having conversations I've had it with the Celtics, I had it with the Spurs, of like them transitioning me to work for them someday. And those were conversations they were very intrigued by and open to. But I always would have regret if I never tried to come overseas and just kind of knock on the door and see what basketball would do for me here, as well as family experience and life experience of getting to just be able to travel the world for free. So we made the decision that those networking, the relationships in the NBA and the G League are always going to be there. And we really wanted to give basketball an opportunity. I still feel like I have stuff left in the tank. I wasn't ready to transition to, whether that be like coaching, player development, front office, or so be it. It's something I wanted to continue to play. So was able to come to Spain last year. We had a daughter in Spain. Got to live on a beautiful island in the Mediterranean, live a life not many get to. And then to be able to come back to Spain this year with my family of 4, my 2 kids and my wife, and just be able to experience a different culture, a different city. We're all kind of embracing it at this point. It's a unique experience for all. My wife is online trying to make friends with other basketball wives, and has been able to create a pretty unique and cool community of these women. And then I'm obviously locked in on the basketball portion. And then my son is 3, and he's been to more countries, more states, and experienced way more than most people have. So just to be able to share these memories with my family is super unique. We have the rest of our lives to kind of settle down and kind of live an ordinary life. So just why not step out the box and do something that makes us uncomfortable right now has been something that's really paid off for us, and we're enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think, again, when you're young, that's the opportunity to go and do that. And like you said, 10 years from now, that experience won't be available to you. You can still go and and get a job in the NBA or get a job in coaching or wherever it is that you want to end up. You can certainly do that 10 years from now. You certainly can't play professional basketball 10 years from now. Well, you probably can still be playing 10 years from now, but not if you take a break.
For sure.
Take a break and try to come back. That's not happening. So, what's been the biggest adjustment for you playing overseas in terms of just culturally trying to adapt to whether it's a new style of basketball, whether it's your coaching staff speaking Spanish? How does it all work in terms of your team?
They speak English. Luckily, it's kind of, I feel bad because they really speak English for about 2 guys or 3 guys on the team. And it's like, we're coming into your area, your territory,
Right.
and you're kind of bending over backwards for us. But it's a different play style. It's somewhere I did not like Spanish basketball when I first got here. I was like very frustrated by it, how tactical it is and team oriented, and I was struggling defensively. And I was like, in the G League, we just switch everything and we just play one-on-one defense, and I was pretty successful at that, given I'm 6'2", playing against NBA athletes. And then to come over here, I feel like I was getting cooked and killed by these guys, and I'm like, these guys are nowhere near talented the levels I've played at. Like, it was super frustrating, but I've come to love the style of basketball, the team basketball. I'm a team guy, and we have, I think, 5 or 6 guys over here on my team right now averaging double figures, so the ball moves, everyone kind of gets their turn, and it's just a beautiful style of basketball, and I've kind of embraced it to this point.
What's your favorite city that you've been to in Spain?
Whoa, goodness. It's unique because we lived on an island. So I had the island experience. Now we're kind of in central Spain, about an hour north of Madrid. Barcelona is definitely probably my favorite. It's kind of not quite like LA, but it's a bigger city on the coast, which is super neat. And then Madrid is kind of like the New York City of Spain, of just being massive and ton of people, kind of like Times Square-ish. But Barcelona is definitely my favorite stop so far.
Got it. All right. Final 2-part question. When you look ahead over the next year or two, what do you see as being your biggest challenge? And then number 2, when you think about what you get to do every day, playing basketball professionally right now overseas, what brings you the most joy? So your biggest challenge and then your biggest joy.
I think the biggest challenge is doing this life with a family. As much joy as it brings me, there's a lot more that goes into the decision making of the trajectory of my career. I can't just chase money. It has to be somewhere safe, where my kids can live. My wife feels comfortable when I'm traveling and I'm on the road, and things like that. So navigating that in the future, it will definitely be a challenge to me, because I do have the itch to, whether it be play at the highest league over here, make the most money possible. But at the end of the day, it's sometimes we have to sacrifice, whether it be money or location or this or that, for the greater good of my family. So that's probably the biggest challenge as we continue to chase what's to come. But at the end of the day, I just want to reach my potential. I don't know if that's EuroLeague over here or coming back to the States. It's just, if I can continue to put my best foot forward and reach my potential on the court, then I won't have any regret when it's time to walk away. And then just the biggest joy that comes with this job, I think, is just the opportunity it brings, not only for me, but for my family, just the life experience for family to be able to come over and visit their group, like my parents here and my wife's parents, able to come over and visit their grandkids halfway around the world and just see how they adapt to the culture and things like that. So I think the biggest joy will just be continuing to explore with my family and seeing what other cities and what other countries we're able to experience in the next few years.
All right. Before we get out, Eric, I want to give you a chance to share. How can people reach out to you, connect with you, whether you want to share social media, email, whatever you feel comfortable with? And then after you do that, I'll jump back in and wrap things up.
Yeah, I think Instagram's definitely the easiest way. Eric.Demers21. I always tell people I'm kind of an open book, and I think there has been a lot of Division III or smaller school type, whether it be low major Division I or Division II players that do reach out to me, which is not a pat on my own back, but I do want to help people that are out there that have the same desires as me to kind of network and make those experiences happen for them and help them get their foot in the door, whether it be working in basketball or potentially playing at the professional level.
Eric, cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your schedule this morning or this afternoon in your case, and really appreciate that. Excited to be able to have an opportunity to talk to you. And to everyone out there, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on our next episode. Thanks. Your first impression is everything when applying for a new coaching job. A professional coaching portfolio is the tool that highlights your coaching achievements and philosophies, and most of all, helps separate you and your abilities from the other applicants. The Coaching Portfolio Guide is an instructional, membership-based website that helps you develop a personalized portfolio. Each section of the Portfolio Guide provides detailed instructions on how to organize your portfolio in a professional manner. The guide also provides sample documents for each section of your portfolio that you can copy, modify, and add to your personal portfolio. As a Hoopheads Pod listener, you can get your Coaching Portfolio Guide for just $25. Visit coachingportfolioguide.com/hoopheads to learn more.
Thanks for listening to the Hoop Heads podcast, presented by Head Start Basketball.